Welcome everyone to today's webinar on Denso Common Rail System. I'm thrilled to see so many participants join us from different parts of the world. My name is Luis Alberto Marin, and I will be your host for this insightful session. Before we begin, I would like to express our gratitude to Lucas Diesel System for organizing this webinar and giving us the opportunity to gather here today. We have an exciting agenda planned, packed with valuable information and actionable insights that will help you better understand the Denso Injectors evolutions. For those who are new to webinar, let me quickly explain how this will work. So through the session, we encourage you to engage actively by asking questions, sharing your thoughts in the chat, and participating in polls. Our expert speaker is here to address your queries and provide expert guidance. So don't hesitate to get involved. During the webinar, we will cover Denso injectors and pumps, injector assembling equipment and test equipment for pump, and injectors and much more. Our speaker brings a wealth of experience and expertise, and I am confident that his insight will inspire and empower you. Remember, today's webinar is designed to be interactive and informative. We want to make sure you get the most out of this experience. So feel free to take notes, ask questions, and share your takeaways with others. Before we dive in, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Ebrima, who have made this event possible. Your support is greatly appreciated. Once again, thank you and all for being here today. Now let's get started with Mr. Ebrima, who will guide us through Denso Common Rail. Enjoy the webinar.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like Luis just said earlier, this is a webinar on Denso Common Rail System. So we will talk about how the Common Rail System works, as well as the different pumps on Denso, the evolution of Denso, as well as the injectors. So we will talk about how the Common Rail System works. We will talk about how the injector system works as well, spare parts, and as well as we will also talk about the injectors and a basic information on how the injectors works as well. All right. With that said, if you have any questions, please feel free to send us a message on the chat. A button may see in your screen. All right. With that said, we would like to begin with. All right. How the Common Rail System works on Denso. Okay. As we all know, we have a fuel tank in the vehicle, which is here. All right. Then the fuel draws from the tank, it goes to the pump. And the pump convert the low pressure fuel to high pressure. All right. Once the pump convert the high pressure fuel to low pressurized fuel, then it send it to the rail, and the rail stores all the high pressure fuel. Then it supplies the injectors. All right. The rail supplies the injector with high pressurized fuel to the injectors, and the injectors inject the amount of fuel we need into the combustion chamber. Okay. How do the injectors inject the amount of fuel we need? Then, as we all know, there's two different types of injection system. We have a piezo, and we also have a solenoid one. The solenoid one are the magnetic one, which is also, they're all connected to the ECU, the engine control unit. The engine control unit energize these injectors, and then the injector will inject the right amount of fuel we need into the combustion chamber. Okay, how do the injector works? Okay, we have a nozzle here, which is the keyword, which we will talk about later on in the training. There's a nozzle, and also we have a control chamber in here, which is also a keyword, which these are the important part in the injector, the control chamber and the nozzle. We will talk about that later on, how and when these two parts works, and when do they have to open or closes for the injector to inject. We will talk about that later. Also on pumps, we have the feed pump, which draws the fuel from the tank to the pump, The pump main function is to convert low pressurized fluid to high pressurized. So that's the only function of a pump, convert low pressure or to high pressure, all right? We will talk about that later on as well. So before we begin, let's talk about the evolution of Denso. Sorry, I have to hide this. Okay, the evolution of Denso. Since 1985, they've been doing common rail system. All right, as you can see in here in the diagram, in the image, the EDC V3 was created 1985 up to 90s, and then they've been making evolution which better and more precise injection control on all this over the years. All right, we have EDC V3, V4, and V5 to 2000, and then from there we come to the common rail system, which is a supply pump, the injector, and the rail, like I said earlier. All right, and then you have from 96 to 2000, we have the HPO injector pumps, for light trucks and medium-sized trucks. All right, and the same year in 1998, you can also see that they have created HP2, which is also for compact and passenger cars. All right, and then as I said, as time goes on, they've made the pumps better and smaller. All right, as you can see in here, HP2 and HP3, the size is different, and HP4, and the latest one is HP5, which is the latest Denso pumps as well. We do have spare parts for all these pumps you can see in here. Okay, this is basically the pumps, evolution of the pumps on Denso. Okay, this is the common rail side of Denso. We have the rail, like I explained earlier. We have the injectors, and we have the pumps. Okay, in here we said HP3, HP4, and HP5, which is the latest one. I have to include this in the presentation next time. It's just for you to know that Denso have been making all this improve over the years. Okay. The difference between these two pumps, HP3 and HP4, basically it's the same. So one had 2 plunges and the other one has 3 and 2 plunges. So meaning that the pressure, the HP4 has more pressure than the HP3. Okay, and then the injectors. We will also talk about different injectors Denso has. Like I said earlier, we will talk through the Denso injector system and pumps as well. Okay, how diesel pumps works. When I say diesel pumps, they all have the same function. They all have the same principle. What we need a pump is to generate low pressure to high pressure. Okay, we have a fuel from the fuel tank. Okay, as the feed pump suck the fuel from the tank to the pump through the XCV, which controls the amount of fuel going into the tank, into the pump. And then when the fuel is inside the pump, the plunger, which is the element, the plunger compresses the spring to compress the fuel inside. And then when you release that compressed spring, then we generate pressure inside the pump. All right. So from there, the high pressure fuel will go through the through here, which is high pressurized. Which is the suction valve also regulates the amount of fuel going into the plungers. Okay. The ring cam activate the plungers, and the camshaft activates the ring cam. Basically, this is how the pump works. Okay, this is the spare parts we have on Denso, as you can see in here. Okay, all these spare parts are all important. You have to make sure that before assembling any pump, make sure that all the parts are in good working order or are in good state before putting them together. All right, you make sure that the plungers are the most important part in this case, making sure that there are no scratches, it's not damaged basically, and also to make sure that the SCV, the suction control valve, is also in a good working order. Okay, the temperature sensor, all the parts are important. So the most important thing you have to do is to make sure that all the parts are in good working order. You may ask me, how do I do that? It's simple. If you don't have these tools or these the tools to do so, we do have tools to test or to check all these parts for you. Okay. like I was saying before, how the plunger works. All right. Like I said, the ring cam, the camshaft goes, the camshaft actuates the ring cam, and the ring cam actuates the plunger, and the plunger actuates the spring. The spring then compresses the fuel into the pump to generate pressure. So from there, it sent it to the rail with the high pressurized fuel, and the high pressurized fuel is stored inside the rail, and the rails deliver them to the injectors, and the injectors inject the amount of fuel we need into the combustion chamber. Basically, this is the same information as I said before, just repeating myself. Is basically, like I said, how the fuel goes into the pump, which is through the SCV, which regulates how, the amount of fuel we need into the pump, and the suction control valve also regulates the amount of fuel going into the plungers. All right, this is HP4. The HP4, the difference between these two, like I said before, one has one element and the other one has two elements. More elements, more pressurized. All right, and also the fuel is controlled by the VCV. Okay, this is the diagram for you to see internally how is the HP4 pump built in internally. Okay, as you can see in here as well, like I was saying, this is the high pressurized fuel going to the rail. The feed pump draw the fuel to the pump. The suction control valve allowing the amount of fuel we need into the pump. The eccentric cam that actuates the plungers and rest. The fuel sensor to sense the temperature, and the plungers, which are the critical part on these pumps. Again, a complete diagram view for you to see how the HP4 pumps spare parts are composed. As you can see here, the sensor, the camshaft, the ring cam, the body, they're all critical. You have to make sure that you've checked all this before putting them together. This is how the fuel road is drawn from the tank to the pump, and then it comes out low pressurized. The blue line is the low pressure from the tank, from the tank through the feed pump. The feed pump then send the pump to the pump, send the fuel to the pump through the SCV, as you can see in here. And the yellow line then is the SCV allowing the amount of fuel we need into the pump. And then the plungers then actuates, and then they compress the fuel inside the pump to generate pressure. The pressurized fuel goes to the rail through the high pressurized line. That's basically how the pump works inside and how we generate pressure. Okay, like I was saying, this is the pumping element. Some has 2, and some has 3 or even 1 in some cases. HP5 is the latest pump on Denso. We do have spare parts on this as well. Okay, so with that said, this is basic information on pumps, like I was saying before. Now we will talk about the injectors. The different injectors Denso has made over the years. So as you can see in here, the common rail system has been going on. The first generation is between 97 to 2001, which is the first generation, X1, X2. And then in 2000 upward, we have the G2. Okay, as you can see as well, the pressure went higher from 135 to 180 bar, 1,800 bars. Okay, these are the different type of Denso injectors. X1, X2, G2, G3, and G4. You also have G4, you also have the piezo system or the G3. So we will talk about how the injection system works, how these injectors works. Okay, the X1 type, they are two-way valve, right? The outer valve, as you can see in here, is the outer valve is movable in here, and the inner valve is fixed. So what happened here? This is the control chamber, and this is the nozzle here. like I was saying, yeah. So what happens is when the high pressure fuel comes to the injector, so you have the same level of pressure in these two sides. You have the same pressure on the control chamber and the same pressure on the nozzle. So the injector is not injecting. So we will talk about when the injectors start to inject, what happens. Okay, we will talk about that later on. But this is the X1 type. So over the time, as I said, Denso has improved on this. And then they come up with X2 type, which is the more compact and more precise. With these new regulations on contamination, we have to make sure that the injectors are injecting the exact amount of fuel we need, no more or no less. So that's why that everyone in this market, even any other brand, they have to make sure that all the injectors are injecting the amount of fuel we need. All right, so the X2 is more compact and more precise than the X1. And then again, the G2, which is the latest generation, the second generation, they've improved the sealing. The sealing is improved, meaning that this injector will last longer, meaning that this injector will inject, they will be more precise than the X2. So over the time, as I said, they'll have to improve all these sections, making sure that the injectors are injecting the amount of fuel we need and they're lasting longer. Excuse me. Okay. Better injection control, like I said earlier as well. Okay, now let's talk about why, when do the injector start to inject? What happens into the injector for the injector to start to inject? Okay, so what happens is basically is when the ECU, like I said, the injectors are connected to the ECU. The ECU energize the injector, and the injectors start to inject. What happens when we energize the injectors? When we energize the injectors, this control valve here, as you can see here, the pressure on the high pressure valve, the amount of pressure on the control chamber and on the nozzle, they are the same. They are the same pressurized, so that the injector would not inject. So meaning that there's no energized, the injector is not energized. So when the injector is energized by the ECU, what happens is it lifts the TWV valve, goes up, and the pressure drops to the nozzle. As you can see here, all the pressure from here goes to the nozzle, and the nozzle cannot hold that pressure. What happens is then the nozzle need to lift up, and then the injector start to inject, because the TWV valve is open and is lifting all the pressure to the control valve, to the nozzle. So this is when the injector start to inject. And the amount of this injection is based on the amount of energy the ECU sent to the injector. So the ECU will regulate or will control the injector when and how to inject. Okay, basically it's when we energize the injector, the control, the TWV control valve lift up, pressure drop down, and the injection start to inject, lifting the nozzle needle up. The same thing happens when there's no, when the ECU is not energizing the injector, then the control valve goes back to its position and the pressure is held on there, and then we have the same pressure again on the control chamber and on the nozzle. Okay, so that's end of injection. Again, like I was saying earlier, the ECU will control the injector, will inform the injector when to inject and how to inject. So how do the ECU know when to do that? So we have to make sure that we program all our injectors. If you replace any injector on a diesel car nowadays, you have to program that injector to the ECU. Meaning these codes are 6-digit codes, some cases, some are 16, depending on the brand. Okay, so you have to program the correction flow or the correction flow on the ECU. How to do that? So every injectors in the market nowadays, you have 16-digit code, like I said, and then you have to program this to the injector, and the ECU will know the performance of that injector, so that it will be able to send the amount of injection it needs in each step. So basically, you need to program the injector each time you replace it. Okay, with that said, we would like to know how these injectors comes in. How do you repair them? How do we make sure that we have the right parts? How do I know what SIM or what SIM size or the parts are okay? With that, in Lucas, we have developed a new equipment to take all this measurement for you. We have 3 or 4 different of equipment to take all this measurement for you, to able to tell you what size of SIM you need for each step. As you can see in here, this is Denso G2 and G3 type. Okay, all these spring and all these SIMs here, they control each step of the engine. If you're on low speed, high speed, or in cranking, you need to know, you have to have the right amount of fuel in each step of this. How do you do that? The SIMs regulate that for you. So we need to know what SIM size we need in each step. So by saying this, 1 micro can make a big difference. So you don't know what SIM size you need. So this equipment will help you to identify that, okay? So as you can see, identify the most common parts in here, which is the SIM, the spring, and the control valve here with that we didn't mark on, the filter. All these are important parts, and we do have all these spare parts for you if you need it. Okay, these are the most common Denso injectors. Okay, we do have spare parts. We do have nozzle for them. We do have rebuilding kits, or what you need to go, or what you need to repair this injector. We do have them. We do even have tools to help you to disassemble and assemble them. We do have them as well. Like I was saying, these are the nozzles. Okay, we have three calibration equipment to calibrate these injectors. All right, I would like to share with you guys a quick demo on how our calibration equipment works. If you are on injection repair business, you will appreciate this if I just quickly show you a demo on how this calibration works. All right, this is the EDR 720. This is the basic one. It's automatically, it's totally manual. All right, so you have to take all the measurement manually for you to know what size of SIM you need by step. All right, you can also measure the spring force. You are able to do that. Okay. There's also technical drawing to help each and everyone how to use this equipment. All right. So you don't have to have any mechanical background, or you don't have to be any engineering to know how to repair these injectors if you use this equipment. All right. Then we have the EDR 710, which is the next after the EDR 720. This is semi-automatic. All right. You have to put the parts in there, as I will show you later on, and the robot will take the measurement for you, but you have to do the adjustment manually, some adjustment, not all of it. That's why it's semi-automatic. All right. You are also able to measure the spring force to know if the springs are in good order. So this equipment, like I said, will help you from start to finish how to build an injector. And finally, this is our EDR 700. All these equipments are multi-brand. I'm saying Denso, but it's not only Denso. You can calibrate Bosch, Denso, Caterpillar injectors, HEUI, and Siemens VDO. You can calibrate all these injectors if you follow the steps on the screen that I will share with you now. All right. Technical drawing, like I said earlier, also the torque value. Important, if you don't know how to tie the injectors, the software will tell you how to tie them. Okay, so let me quickly share with you guys a quick demo on these injectors, on this equipment, to know how to assemble these injectors on here. Okay, let me quickly go there. 1 second. Luis, can you look if there's any questions?
Actually, I had some network problem, and I don't know what happened. I cannot see if there is some kind of questions. Let me check. If somebody have questions, you can also send through the chat.
Yeah, I'm quickly sharing this to you guys. A second.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'll quickly share it with you guys. So, like I say, it's a demo that I think everyone should say if you are on injector repair business. Here we go. EDR 700. Great, great. Here we go. It's loading. Okay.
Actually, just to inform that this webinar is being presented in English, but if somebody doesn't speak English or even wants some information in Spanish or other language, they can just send through the chat, and then we can more than happy to ask, right? To answer the questions, right, Ebrima?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And after this webinar, if you have any questions that comes on your mind, you can just email Chris or myself. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have somebody from Greece, from other countries.
Yeah.
Actually, outside of the Europe, we have customers. So
absolutely fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, here we go. I got the. Can you see the screen, guys? Yeah. Can you confirm, Luis? Can you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. All right. Like I was saying, this is the EDR 700. It's a demo. It's for you guys to see how this works. All right. It's multi-brand calibration equipment for Bosch, Delphi. Delphi is not. So Delphi at the moment is not needed, but it's also implemented to do Denso. All right. But at the moment it's Bosch, Denso, Siemens, and Caterpillar injectors. So if you are on the diesel repair injectors, believe me, this equipment is what you need for in your workshop. All right, let's go. So let's go to Denso. Let's click on Denso. You have two options. You can customize your injectors, or you can just go to preset values. All right, you click on OK. All right, you select the reference in here, any reference. All right, so let's click any reference. I will say 580. 580 is not the one I needed. 536, let me see that. Yes, 536. All right, what is this? Okay. All right. So how this works? So we start from step one. You have options. You can select any number you want to do, but let's start from step one. Perform from step one or perform only step one. Let's do from step one. All right. Let's click on that. Like I was saying, we have a diagram for you guys to see. What are we doing? What is the next step? Anyone can do it. Anyone is able to do this. But why this is not going up? All right, so you click on start and it tells you what are we going to do now. We're going to measure the distance between the valves, okay? So it's gonna calculate if this valve is suitable to use in this case. So the calibration equipment will do this for you. You click on continue, you put all the parts on, and on the adapter that it's set for you to use, which is the pack 115 in this case. You put all the parts in there and then you click on continue, then the equipment is doing all the measurement for you. It will now tell you if this is what we need. So in here, you can see the EDR 700 has told us that these parts are okay. You are now able to use this. It's 0.015 in this case, all right? And then we have, this is nominal what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for. And this is the minimum and this is the maximum, okay? So we got that right. We click on okay, we're going to the next step. What are we doing next? The next step is, we'll tell you, okay, can you please tie the knot now? I mean, the valve knot. So we put the valve on there and we have to tie the knot. We don't know that. So we don't know what are the torque settings are. Then it's here, like I said before, we have all this information for you to be able to build this injector without any help from no one. All right, so we have clockwise, hand tight 5 Newton meters. We're looking for 42, but we're looking 45, but 42, 48 is in good. All right, so we've done that. So we've tightened the nut, and now we have to measure the solenoid to know what sim we have to put on this in this injector. So you put all the parts in here. Slot 1, it tells you, slot 1, can you place the injector this way with this part in there? And slot 2, can you please put the solenoid this way? We're going to take the measurement this side, and then we will tell you what size of sim we need. Okay, you click on continue, and now the robot is doing the calculation for you. It's doing everything. It's automatic. It's totally automatic. You don't have to do anything after that. Okay, so now the calibration equipment tells us that the sim size you need is 1.278. All right, we always have to try to put this sim, the nominal sim. All right, but there's a range. If you don't have this sim, it's not end of the world. You have two options here. You have 1.273 or 1.283. So between this range, you should be okay. So we find the sim, we put it in there, we click on close, and then we have to do the next step. The next step is going to be the spring force to tell us what size of sim we need under the spring. Okay, so we put the sim on the spring tester. It's another tool for that. And then this part here is also going to calculate these two distances. Okay, where the spring goes as well. Okay, you click on continue, and now it tells you, can you put the adapter on 0 on the spring tester? You've done that. You put 0 on there. You put the spring inside the adapter that is given to you in the picture. You click that. You click on continue, and now the tools or the equipments are adjusting themselves to take the measurement to confirm if the spring is good to use. Okay, so now it's taking the measurement. Now we'll tell you to enter the figures you can see. All right, now it's taking measurement to for you to input what you can see in the screen. In this case, it's a demo. All right, so it might go wrong. So it's gonna be okay. Let's -16. Let's say -16. Some cases it's a demo. It might go wrong here. It should. Let's see. Yeah, it shouldn't. It's great now. It says the sim size you need under the spring is 1.15, 1.5. All right, the spring is good. The sim size, now we know the sim size we need. You put the sim size in there, you close that, you put the sim you need. Now it's telling you what you have to do next. Now you've taken the measurement for the big spring, the spring, and the shim that goes under the magnet. Now you have all this measurement done. Can you please put the solenoid back on the body and tie it, please? These are the steps. What you need: clockwise, hand tight, 5 Newton meters. We're looking for 31. Well, between 30 and 32 Newton meters is fine. So we tighten on that, and now we're going to the lower side of the injector, which is the bottom. All right, we have the adapter here, as you can see, 1533. We're going to measure the spring to let us know what sim size we need under the spring. Okay, and the distance that the equipment is going to take the measurement from. Okay, you click continue, and now the software and the will tell you all the steps you have to follow. Put on 0, continue that, and put the spring in there put the spring with no sim. We will tell you what sim you need. Just put the spring in there, click on continue, and now it's taking the measurement on the spring force with the pressurized on the spring. Okay, it's taking that measurement for you. Now it tell me to enter figure. The figure has to be the one you can read in the screen when there's a pressure generate into the spring. Okay, the same. It's a demo. This one will come as wrong. That's why I want you to say the wrong. When it's wrong, you can say what happens. That's it. This is wrong. In here, you can see it says 18 in red. That's meaning that the measurement or something we've done wrong. So that if we put this sim in there, this injector will fail. So we have to make sure that we've retaken that measurement and put the right figures in there. So now this is demo. I'm just putting the wrong figures for you to see what happens if you put something wrong, some figures that are incorrect. So in this case, this come as red, so you cannot continue to build this injector. This injector will fail. You have to make sure that you put the right figures there, and then if you follow all these steps, and if all these steps comes in as in green, this injector should pass, as you can see here. So this part here, and you can also, this is the electrical part, yeah? It tells you the resistance you need, minimum and maximum of 49 to 61, all right? And the isolation test as well. All right, you test that and it gives you the minimum and the maximum. So you have the full process from start to finish with diagrams, with image for you to be able to see all the steps and what you have to do. Okay, so this injector here, if we redone this test and it comes green, this injector should pass. So believe me, if you repair injectors, this is the tools you need to be able to have higher pass rate and to be able to repair any injectors in any workshop, not only Denso, but any other brand. Okay, so this is demo on how to build them. Now we will talk about quickly on how to test these injectors. Okay.
Yeah. Talking about test the injectors, sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right.
We have one question here. He's asking about the problem that he faces in adjustment of dense injectors. I think he has problems in high delivery. So I think he wants to know how to identify the problem, but mainly important, how to fix the problem with a high delivery.
Absolutely right. I mean, like I said,
yeah.
if what is his name again? His name is Hamza.
Hamza, yes.
Perfect. Hamza, if you have one of this equipment in your workshop, you wouldn't have this problem. Basically, you are building the injectors as it comes to you, and you are not calibrating them. If you don't calibrate the injectors, that's when you have this problem. That's when you have this high delivery and low delivery, and then and the figures are everywhere. But if you are building these injectors using one of these equipment, which is the calibration, is to calibrate and to help you to identify the size of SIM you need per step. So if you follow this step, you will never have this problem in the first place. Okay, but if you need bit more information on how to repair this without this equipment, I can give you some tips that we have. But if I want to do that now here, it will take all day. But I can, yeah, absolutely, I can give you some tips that to tell you change this SIM size to have this, to have more higher flow in this test. Yeah, we can do that as well. Just send me an email and we will look into that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. This is just to give a general idea, because every technology has their own particularity. So to assemble and disassemble and everything, it takes 1 day for each brand, right, Ebrima?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's important that what Hamza just said, that happens to, I think happens to everyone that is building these injectors. If you're building injectors, what Hamza just said, I think happens to everyone, including myself, when I was building these injectors without these tools. Okay, with that said, let's carry on. I won't take too much of your time. I will share the screen with you guys, 1 minute. I don't want to take too much of your time. If I do that, it might get boring. So it's what I don't want. Let's get this right. Okay, so we've talked about the calibration equipment we have to repair or to help you to repair these injectors, and also tells you what SIM size you need, which is the most difficult part on repairing injectors. We do have those there. And then we also have test benches. All right, test benches to test these injectors for you. You've went through the process of knowing how the commodity system works, you've known the parts you need, you've known the calibration equipment you need, and now you have to test them. You have to make sure that these injectors are working accordingly. All right. So we have Lucas test benches, which are OE standards. All right. If this test bench, if any injector passes in this test bench, it should be 100% works in any car like brand new. Okay. So we have the EDR 320. Okay. All our equipments are we've made our equipment available for everyone. All right, so we've made this EDR 720. It's a test bench. It's a table test bench to test one injector time. It's a multi-brand. You can test piezo injectors and also solenoid injectors. You can test both systems. All right. In this one, you cannot code the injectors because it's made for just someone to verify if these injectors are injecting the amount of fuel you need. So that's why we've created the EDR 720. It's a test table. It's a test bench, table test bench. All right, and then we've created the EDT 315, which is another test table test bench, which you can code any injectors from Bosch to Denso, Delphi, Siemens Video. You can test them, you can code them, and it also has electronic flow meter reading. So you don't have to enter the figures manually. In the 320, you have to type in the, you have to type in the flow on each step. All right, because as you can see here, you can see the tubes in here. So the tubes are entered manually, and the EDT 315 is digital flow meter reading. So you don't have to enter the flows. The system will do that for you. The software will do that for you. You just have to put the injector on, do all the settings and all the tightenings, connect it, select the injector, and select automatic. So the test bench will start the testing from step 1 to finish, without you doing anything. But this software will do everything for you. All right. The pressure it says here is up to 2,200 bar. We have now increased the pressure to 2,700 bar in all our test benches, so that you don't have to worry about am I able to test different type of injectors in future. We've made our equipment thinking on the future, so all our equipment are prepared to test all the last generation of the injectors. Okay. Then we have the EDT 310. Which is the same as or similar as the 315. The 315 is a table test bench, and this one here, as you can see, is a stand test bench. All right, it has a bigger tank, so you can use it more than the other ones. It's for bigger garages, I would say, or bigger workshops, to be able to test one injector time, to be able to code them, and also it's a digital flow meter system. You don't have to enter the figures manually. It's all done automatically for you. The pressure now goes up to 2,700 bars, and the cooling system is also included. So you won't be saying it's overheated or anything like that. The system, that's all included for you. And then lastly, for injectors, we have the EDT 300. All right. The difference of this one is that you can test up to 4 injectors at a time. So you don't have to test one injector. You can test 4 the same injectors at the same time. All right. It can be any brand. Bosch, Denso, Delphi, any other brand, put 4 injectors in there and test them all at once. All right. Also has digital flow meter. You don't have to enter anything. The good thing of this test bench is you are able to put 4 injectors for testing while you are repairing another injector, meaning that you don't have to sit there and wait. Because the test bench will do all the software, will do all the work for you. You just have to select the test you need to do, and the software will do all the tests for you. Okay, and then while you're testing 4 injectors, you can do something else, like I just mentioned earlier, like repair another set of injectors or rebuilding another one. Okay, so with that said, I would like to quickly show you a demo on these test benches. This is the EDT 300. All right. Where you can see what brands we can test. We can test Bosch, Delphi, Denso, Siemens, and others. When you click on others and you go to automatic, this is all the other references or other brands we can test. Caterpillar, Cummins, Orange, MTU, and Perkins. We can test all these injectors in this test bench. So you don't have to have different test benches for different brands. One test bench, you can test all these brands for you. So let's go on Denso. Let's click on Denso, click on automatic sequence, click on that, and select the reference. The ones you can see in here and in green are the ones that are needed to be coded. So all this one in green, you have to code them, okay? Let's select the 580 here, 580. You click that, okay? How many injectors you want to test? You can test 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's up to you. Let's test just one, so we don't be too long here. Click on that, click on OK. And now you have the steps here. You click on menu, then, like I said, you have option, you have choices. You can click on number 4 and test only number 4. You can click on number 5. You can jump steps if you don't need to test them. But in this case, we will start from step 1 to do all the full test for us, right? You click on that, and now you can do something else while this test bench is doing the test for you. You don't have to do anything else. You click on start from step 1, and you can start doing something else. The first step is the cleaning process. As you all may know, if you're doing injectors, you have to make sure that to have the right reading, the injector is totally bleed. There's no air inside, there's no bubbles. So then the injector will inject the exact amount of fuel we need, or the exact amount of fuel of reading. Okay, this is the opening time, the opening pressure and start of injection. And this is to test if there's any leakage. If there's any leak, so there's no pulse, so any injection should be there. And this is the backflow. The backflow, there's a minimum and maximum of 75 or 78. So that's green. And again, it does another cleaning process to make sure that the flow meter is receiving the exact amount of fuel that injector is injecting to have an accurate reading. So that's important. Okay, now we're doing the full load test. Okay, the full load test, as you can see here in the image, there's a minimum and maximum, all right? The delivery has to be between 39 to 60, and the backflow or the return should be 0 to 85. So this one is in between. And then we have the emission point. The emission point, there's no backflow. It's not important. So we're just looking how much the injector is injecting. Like I said, the flow meter is doing that for us, which is the digital flow meter. We don't have to do anything else. Okay, again, 5 to 9, 9.5, whatever. So it's 7.2. It's in between. And the last test is the VE. The VE test. Again, we have to make sure that the injector is injecting in between these two lines in here. Okay, and last test is the coding. If the injector has passed and all the tests are green, then the test bench will generate the code for the injector. The code, as I said earlier, the code is to record the performance of that injector. It's recorded in code, and this code should be programmed into the ECU to have a better communication between the ECU and the injector. So the injector is recorded in coding. Okay, so that's done. If you click on code, that's the code for this injector in particular. All right, so you can print this code, or you can do whatever you want. You can write it down, but basically you just print this code and you stick it to the injector, and the garage will program this injector into the ECU, and the vehicle should be ready to go. You also have the option to print this report. You can just say Denso web. Okay, you can go preview, and this is what you can print for your customers. Okay, so this is the information you need. This is the reference number of the injector, the customer or the name of the operator, There's the coding number in here, what happened in the tests. What we're looking for 150 to 150, 200. So we have 150. And these are the delivery and the returns, right? The deliveries are 39.1 or 39.1 to 59.9. So this injector has injected 49.4. So meaning that this injector is good to go. All right. So this is basically how our test benches work and how our test calibration equipment works as well. So this is what I have for you guys. But if you have any questions or any doubt or anything that you think we should have said today we didn't, just send us an email, and we will try to get back to you all as soon as possible. Okay. Do you have any? Is there any questions, Luis?
I think one information that we could also inform is about the equipments that we have for other technologies. For example, EUI, HUI. So we also have equipment for test them.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, also pumps, for example, even for Denso or Bosch, we can test pumps, for example.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's a general overview of the point. I mean, it's a lot of information, right? Just to give a 1 hour webinar. So
yeah,
yes, I mean, a lot of information.
I think it's important for clarify that, because there's a lot of people connected and we don't know their time schedule. So I know they're here for the webinar of Denso, but if any one of you needs more get into more in details of any part of this training, you can contact Luis, and we will be more than happy to give you more information, trainings, or support you in any ways we can. As well, I didn't put through here the tools we have to repair, to disassemble and assemble this part for you, but it's also available in our catalog. So it's something that you guys have to ask me, and I will be able to share this to you guys. So yeah, I think that's something that if you have any doubts, just let us know, and we will be more than happy to reply all your doubts and questions.
Of course, I'm inserting my details right here at the chat box. So if you want to send some questions, just let us know. It will be a pleasure for us to respond as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just left my details here, my phone number, my email. So I don't know if you have some other point to provide to us, everyone. It was a lot of information, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of information for just 1 hour, and I hope that you've taken something out of this webinar. And yeah, if you need anything, just please let us know.
Okay.
Right. Thank you very much, all of you, for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now, bye.
Bye-bye.